This is the second of two videos for week 14. So if you haven't watched the first video, go ahead and watch that now before you watch the rest of this one, just because that video will talk about the A4 unit more holistically. It has some information about the schedule, when we're meeting, when stuff's due, and then it has a really, really brief overview of the A4 assignment, whereas this video is going to have a slightly more in-depth overview of the assignment. So it just makes sense, I think, to watch them that one first and then this one. We're also going to talk about a bunch of this stuff in class on Monday. So you'll have a chance to ask questions. With metacognition, for example, we'll be able to go more in depth about that. So in your A4 paper, there are two main parts. One is a revision of your A2. So your A2 is your argument paper. You're going to do a revision of that and turn that in as part of your A4. So you got to address the major issues, and I want you to revise the paper on the actual document in a different color font. So for example, red. So it's written in black. You make changes, you add a paragraph, you add a sentence, that's in red. Let's say you rearrange something, highlight that as well in red or whatever, so that I can see, okay, they moved some stuff around here. Or if you delete a sentence or a paragraph or something, I want you either to use the strike through feature on Word to cross it out and put it in red, so I can see, okay, they got rid of that, or delete it and put it in track change comments. So if you turn on track change comments and you delete something, it'll automatically pop up over there, and I can show you on Monday if you want help knowing how to do that or do any of this. So that's what I want you to do, so that it's visually very clear to me, because I'll be reading a whole lot of these and I have to turn them around pretty quickly, and so just because we get to the end of the semester. So it's helpful to me to have another color where I can, as I'm reading the paper, can go, okay, here's a change, here's some areas where they were working. So these revisions shouldn't just be surface stuff. It shouldn't be like I added a few commas here and there, made a sentence flow a little bit better. I want it to be core things about the paper. And so one way to get at that is to take a look at my comments. So, using my comments in the margins and my end note, you'll see the things that I was focusing on. And I'm, focusing on the core things from this course, elements of the rhetorical situation, purpose, focus, development. And so I want you to be thinking about those things as well. Try to revise the major stuff to really meet the goals of the paper even better. So the other part of this A4 paper is your reflection / metacognition letter. So I would like you to turn these in one document. If you don't, I'm not going to take points off, but it's just easier for me. So if you just put, your revision and then your letter in one document and turn that in, that would be great. So in your letter portion, there's a number of sections. We're just going to go over them really briefly here. These are all on the assignment sheet, which is already up on Canvas. And so if you want to look at them in more detail, you can do that. But I want you to write an intro about 125 words in which you reflect on what you've learned about writing, reading, communication, critical thinking this semester, and talk about how you've grown or not grown this semester in those areas. So let's say that you feel like you've gotten a lot more comfortable as a writer, or you feel like you've learned some new ways of thinking. That's great. But it's also great if there's areas in which you were hoping to improve, hoping to grow, and that didn't happen. It's helpful for me to understand where you're coming from, and to help make changes to the course to help more students get what they want out of it. And so, or you can have both, an area where you grew and an area where you hope to grow more, but you didn't. Your conclusion should be about 75 words. And I just want you to give one or two pieces of advice to incoming CO150 students. That's also helpful to me because I can use that to help guide the next round of CO150 students. So I just want you to think about what would have been helpful to you if you had heard it at the beginning of the semester, and then give that to me so that I can help incoming students. Another section in this paper is a revision reflection. So this is different from your revision. Your revision is on the document, that's on your A2, changing it in a different color font, like I said before. this is reflecting on that revision. And so what I want you to do is pick two substantial changes, revisions that you made to your A2, and discuss them. And so let's say you, in your argument paper, you didn't do such a good job with topic sentences, and so the focus of your paper drifted. That would be, a good thing to talk about. To say, I saw that these weren't guiding the paper that well, and so I made a change to help focus it, keep the reader, the audience involved. And then you pick another one. So I want you to talk about if you struggled with the revisions, why, if not, what prevented you from doing them the first time the way that you wanted. Maybe you didn't understand them as well back then, but you understand them now. How did you decide what to revise? How did these changes improve your A2? So I want you to pick substantial revisions. Again, I don't want you to be talking about grammar things here. I do understand that if you got a 94 on this paper, then there may not have been really major things that needed improvement. But for every paper, in my comments, I pointed out at least two things that could be improved. And so if you had a 94 paper and you don't have a super major thing to revise, just talk about what you were able to revise in the paper. So the last thing I want to talk about here is the positionality section, or the kind of metacognition reflection section here. So metacognition, we'll talk about more on Monday, but basically that's just thinking about your thinking. So I've talked about it earlier in the semester. Reflection is thinking about what happened. Metacognition just goes a step deeper and tries to think about more of sort of the root causes. Why do you think the way you do? Why do you have the habits that you have? Trying to get down to the bottom of it, and it can facilitate change, especially in areas where that change is kind of difficult to achieve. So I'm not going to go super in depth about this section. It's about 400 words. It has too many options of things for you to write about for me to go over all of them here. But it's on the assignment sheet, which is on Canvas, and so you can look at it. But basically, you just pick what you want to respond to, and there's questions about what motivates you, how your habits affect your learning, your life, how outside factors affect you, all sorts of things for you to reflect on and try out metacognition and discuss in this section of the paper. So those are the two main areas of the paper: A2 revision, and then this letter that has a bunch of components. An intro, a revision, reflection, a metacognition section, and a conclusion. So that'll be the paper. Remember, from our other video, that's due on Monday of finals week. It's the last thing for this class. So once you turn that in, you're all set. There's no final, and that'll be it.